It doesn't start with touch. It doesn't start with words. It starts with your energy, the quiet signal you send without even trying. Most men think a woman's sexual side awakens when they do more. More talking, more proving, more effort, more chasing. But a woman doesn't open because you push. She opens because you pull her in without force. A woman doesn't respond to pressure. She responds to presence, the kind of presence that makes her feel something without you lifting a finger, because her desire isn't switched on by what you do. It's switched on by what she senses. It's the way you walk into the room, the way you breathe, the way you hold your gaze, the way you stay calm when others react, the way you carry yourself like a man who is stable inside. When a woman feels that, something inside her begins to shift. Not in her mind, in her body. Here is the truth most men never learn. A woman's sexual side wakes up when she feels your calm strength, not your hunger, not your need, not your eagerness, not your desperation to impress. Calm strength says, I want you, but I am complete without you. That message hits her on a level she can't explain. It stirs her. It melts her. It draws her closer without a single word. Because a man who is calm in himself creates space for a woman to feel him. And that feeling, that quiet, grounded, masculine energy, is what awakens the part of her she doesn't show the world. Calm, energy sparks her instinct. A woman doesn't react to the man who chases, because chasing whispers fear, not strength. She reacts to the man who leads himself, the man whose emotions are not tossed around by her mood, her silence, or her beauty. When you are centered, grounded, relaxed, not pretending, not performing, but truly settled in your own skin, she feels something most men never give her. Safety in your self-control, not the safety of weakness, not the safety of, I'll do anything for you, but the safety of a man who is steady, unshaken, and present. Desire begins there, not in chaos, not in loudness, not in frantic effort. Desire begins in quiet power. A calm man doesn't have to say, I'm confident. His energy already announces it. He communicates through silence. I am here, and I'm not needy. I want you, but I don't need you to feel whole. I stay in control of my world, no matter what. And that message, silent, steady, masculine, reaches parts of her she doesn't show the world. Not her polite smile, not her social side, not her friendly, surface-level self. It reaches her instinct, the part of her that wants a man who is bigger than his impulses, stronger than his fears, and calmer than her storms. Because a woman's deeper desire doesn't awaken when a man tries hard. It awakens when a man doesn't have to try. Your calm energy tells her, this is a man I can feel, without him pulling me, pushing me, or proving anything. And that feeling, that quiet, stable, masculine presence, is what sparks the instinct inside her. She rarely lets anyone touch. Slow attention awakens her body. Fast attention is everywhere. Every man gives it. A like, a quick compliment, a rushed message. It all feels the same to her. Easy, cheap, forgettable. Instant validation doesn't move her. It doesn't touch her instinct. It tells her you're reacting, not choosing. But slow, steady, intentional attention, that's different. That reaches her in places she doesn't admit out loud. That makes her feel seen, not chased. Slow attention is not staring. It's not clinging. It's not trying to force a moment. It is awareness without pressure. A man who watches quietly, who takes his time, who doesn't rush to speak or touch, creates a tension her body understands before her mind does. You don't study her like you're desperate for a sign. You notice her like a man who is in control of himself. You look, then look away. You speak, then fall silent. You give, then pause. Every small moment becomes a message, Because slow attention shows something most men never show. You value your energy. You don't give it to just anyone. You don't throw it around for free. You offer it with intention. That alone makes her body react. She feels the difference. She feels the weight of your focus. She feels the patience in your presence. Your slowness doesn't bore her. It unsettles her. It makes her wonder. It makes her wait. It makes her feel. Fast attention floods her mind. Slow attention wakes her senses. Because when you move slowly, when you choose each look, each word, each pause, you create space for her imagination to run wild. And imagination is where desire lives. Your slow rhythm becomes the tension she feels everywhere, in her breath, in her thoughts, in the way she suddenly becomes aware of herself around you. You're not pushing her body. You're waking her from the inside. Your voice sets the rhythm. You don't need perfect words. You don't need clever lines. You don't need a script. A woman doesn't fall for vocabulary. She falls for vibration. It's not what you say. It's how your voice moves when you say it. A controlled tone does more than any paragraph ever could. Calm, steady, unhurried speech sends a message her mind can't ignore, and her body can't resist. Speak slowly, not to act mysterious, but because a man who moves slowly is a man who isn't afraid of the moment. Hold pauses, because silence, when you're confident, is louder than sound. Let your words land. Don't rush to fill the space. Don't jump to explain. Don't chase her reaction. Say what you want to say, then let the moment breathe. A calm voice tells her subconscious, this man is not moved by pressure. This man chooses his pace. This man won't crumble if I test him. She doesn't analyze this. She feels it. Your tone reveals your center. Your pauses reveal your confidence. Your calmness reveals your power. And when she realizes you don't wobble, when your voice stays grounded, even when she tries to pull you off balance, something inside her begins to shift. She starts to wonder, what else is behind this man? What else is he holding back? What else can he handle? What would he be like when he finally lets go? Now her imagination begins to move, and a woman's imagination is the doorway to her desire. Her body responds to the story she creates in her mind, and your calm, steady voice gives her the material to build that story. Because desire doesn't start with touch. It starts with rhythm, with tone, with control. And the moment your voice sets the pace, her imagination follows it. And once her imagination starts moving, everything else becomes effortless. The power of gentle mystery. Never show everything at once. Not your emotions, not your thoughts, not your intentions. Not because you want to play games, but because a man with self-control doesn't pour his whole soul out in the first 5 minutes. Mystery is not manipulation. Mystery is allowing space for her to approach, to explore, to feel her way toward you. Most men overshare. They explain every feeling. They reveal every detail. They remove every question. They don't realize that when everything is exposed, nothing feels alive. A woman's sexual instinct doesn't wake up when she fully understands a man. It wakes up when she senses depth, when she feels layers she hasn't reached yet, when she notices emotions you control, not emotions you dump. The moment she feels, this man has more inside him, her curiosity stirs. And curiosity is the first spark of desire. A woman doesn't want a mystery she can't solve. She wants a mystery she can slowly unfold. She wants to see you reveal yourself, piece by piece, moment by moment, day by day, not because you're hiding, but because you move through life, with intention, with calmness, with sovereignty over your inner world. What is fully known becomes ordinary, predictable, safe, but not exciting. But what is slightly unknown, slightly hidden, slightly out of reach, that activates something deeper. It makes her mind move. It makes her imagination work. It makes her wonder who you are when you're quiet, what you think when you pause, what you feel when you look at her and choose not to say everything. Mystery isn't darkness. It's depth. It's patience. It's the art of revealing the right things at the right time, in the right way. And when she realizes you have layers, she wants to explore them. She wants to understand you. She wants to get closer. Because a woman isn't drawn to a man who gives everything away. She's drawn to the man who has something worth discovering. And discovery, gentle, slow, emotional discovery, is one of the deepest forms of desire. Strong boundaries create heat. Most men think saying yes makes them more attractive. They think agreement shows kindness, constant availability shows interest, and giving in shows loyalty. But in reality, yes means nothing when it costs you nothing. Desire doesn't grow from a man who never disagrees, never pauses, never holds his own line. Desire grows from boundaries, clear, calm, unshakable boundaries. Because boundaries tell her something your words never could. You know who you are. You know what you accept. You know what you don't. And a man who knows his limits immediately becomes more magnetic than a man who tries to impress. When you say no with calm strength, not anger, not attitude, you show that you are guided by your own values, not her moods. When you walk away from drama, without fighting, without explaining, without trying to fix what isn't yours, you show emotional maturity, not avoidance. When you don't answer instantly, not to play games, but because you are actually living your life, you show that your attention is precious, not desperate. All of this creates one reaction in her body: heat, not from tension or conflict, but from the power of watching a man who doesn't betray himself to keep someone close. She feels something rare today: a man with self-control. Self-control is the root of masculine sex appeal. Not muscles, not money, not smooth words. Self-control. Because self-control carries a message: I am safe with myself. And if a man is safe with himself, a woman feels safe with him too. A boundary doesn't push her away. It pulls her curiosity forward. It makes her notice: this man doesn't bend. This man doesn't chase. This man doesn't give himself lightly. And that creates the contrast that wakes up a woman's instinct, not her logic. Her logic might say, he's calm, he's respectful, he's stable. But her instinct says, there is something here I don't want to lose. Because deep down, a woman doesn't just want a man she can have. She wants a man she must earn. Not through pressure, but through connection. Boundaries don't close the door. They frame it. They make your presence meaningful. They make your attention valuable. They make you valuable. And value, felt, not spoken, is what creates desire. A woman opens when she feels your presence, not your need. A woman can sense neediness before you say a word. It shows in your eyes, your tone, your timing, your reactions. Neediness shuts her down. It makes her feel pressured, responsible, and emotionally crowded. Pressure shuts her down too. The pressure to respond, the pressure to reassure you, the pressure to feel something on command. And emotional chasing, that's the fastest way to dim her desire. Because chasing tells her you want something from her, instead of sharing something with her. But presence does the opposite. Presence melts her defenses. Presence is not a skill. It's a state, a way of being. Presence is when you're here, fully here, but not rushing for an outcome. Presence is when you're confident without needing to prove anything. Presence is when your strength is felt, not because you push, but because you don't need to push. Presence is when your attention lands softly, not desperately, when your eyes hold meaning, not hunger, when your silence is calm, not awkward. Presence is when you're still, grounded, and comfortable in the moment, with or without her reaction. Most men talk to be liked. You simply exist in a way that pulls her interest in naturally. Presence is simple. You're not trying to win her. You're not trying to impress her. You're not waiting for the perfect moment. You're just here, aware, relaxed, unmoved. And when you stop trying to get a reaction, she starts feeling you without trying. She feels your steadiness. She feels your lack of need. She feels your emotional balance. She feels your quiet confidence. Something in her chest softens. Something in her mind becomes curious. Something in her body starts paying attention, because presence tells her a truth she doesn't hear often today. I'm with you because I want to be, not because I need anything from you. No pressure, no expectation, just gravity. And the moment a woman feels gravity, not force, not fear, not demand, but gravity, she begins to open. Not out of obligation, not out of fear, not out of habit. She opens because she feels safe in your calm, grounded existence. And when a woman feels safe enough to relax, her desire begins to wake. Slowly, naturally, powerfully. Presence is not loud. Presence is not dramatic. Presence is not a performance. Presence is the quiet signal that says, I'm not trying to take anything from you, but I'm also not afraid to be felt. And that signal awakens parts of her, that hunger for a man who stands firm in himself first. The secret most men never learn. Most men think a woman's sexual side awakens when they touch her body, a hand, a hug, a physical move. But her body doesn't wake up first. Her mind does. Her emotion do. Her instinct does. A woman's sexual side doesn't awaken because you touch her skin. It awakens because you touch the places she doesn't show anyone. It awakens because you touch her imagination. You make her picture things without describing them. You let her fill in the blanks. You leave space for her thoughts to wander toward you. You touch her emotions, not with drama, not with speeches, but with your steadiness, your tone, your silence, your timing. You touch the energy she hides from the world, the part of her that wants to feel, but only around a man who won't misuse it. The part that wants polarity, not pressure, depth, not demand. When you're calm, she feels it in her chest. She senses a man who won't break under intensity, a man who can hold his own heat without spilling it everywhere. When you pause, she wonders why. She leans in. She watches. Her mind begins to create emotional images that pull her closer. When you hold your frame, not rigid, not arrogant, just steady, she opens in ways she can't explain. She opens because she feels she can trust the moment, trust the pace, trust you. Her sexual side isn't unlocked by noise, not by constant talking, not by trying to be impressive, not by filling every second with action. It's unlocked by your gravity, the quiet pull she feels around you, the calm tension, the relaxed control, the steady presence that invites her in without grabbing for her, not by chasing her, but by staying rooted in yourself. Because the moment you stop needing her reaction, she starts having one. The moment you stop rushing for her attention, she starts giving it willingly. The moment you stop trying to create desire, you become the reason desire appears. This is the secret most men never learn. A woman opens not to the man who pushes, but to the man who contains his power, a man whose energy is stable, a man who is full, not empty, a man who is whole, not searching for permission to feel strong. When she senses that wholeness, That quiet, masculine fullness, the part of her she hides from the world, slowly comes alive. And once that part wakes up, the rest follows effortlessly. A woman doesn't awaken for the man who tries to impress her, prove himself to her, or win her like a prize. Trying too hard tells her one thing: you're performing, not being. But her desire doesn't answer to performance, it answers to presence. She awakens for the man she can't easily read, not because he hides, but because he is not desperate to be understood. She awakens for the man who stays centered, the man who doesn't change his tone just because she tests him, raises an eyebrow, or goes silent. She awakens for the man who leads himself, whose mood isn't controlled by attention, whose actions aren't shaped by fear, whose confidence doesn't crack if she doesn't react immediately. She awakens for the man whose energy speaks before his hands ever do, the man whose presence enters the room before his voice does, the man who creates tension, not through noise, but through calmness. Awakening her sexual side is not about pressure, coaxing, convincing, or chasing. It's about polarity, the natural pull between a grounded man and a woman who feels him without effort. And polarity is born the moment you stop trying to perform and start standing in who you really are. No scripts, no games, no overthinking, just alignment, just steadiness, just a man who breathes slowly because he knows his worth, with or without her. Because the man who doesn't chase, the man who carries calm strength, the man who is full inside, not hungry for reassurance, he becomes a spark. She feels, faster than she can explain it. Her body recognizes him before her mind catches up. Her breath changes. Her guard loosens. Her instinct wakes. Not because he pushed anything, not because he tried to trigger anything, but because his energy created a space where she could finally feel something real. And when she feels that spark, that quiet, steady, masculine pull, everything else unfolds naturally. No effort, no pressure, no forcing, just two energies meeting, moving, unfolding, in a way that feels inevitable. Because desire isn't something you create in her, it's something you allow to rise. When you show up as a man who doesn't lose himself trying to be chosen, and that is the final truth. In the end, everything you've learned points back to one simple truth. A woman doesn't awaken for the man who tries the hardest. She awakens for the man who knows himself, the man who stands calmly in his own energy, the man who doesn't rush, doesn't chase, doesn't fold, the man whose presence speaks louder than his words. Because when a man leads himself, a woman finally feels free to follow her instinct. Her mind relaxes, her guard drops, her deeper side rises to the surface, not because he demanded it, but because he made space for it with his quiet strength. This is the paradox of desire. You awaken her not by moving into her world, but by becoming so grounded in yours that she wants to enter it. And when she feels that rare mix of calm, depth, and masculine gravity, she awakens in ways she can't hide, can't explain, and can't stop. Because a woman doesn't open for pressure, she opens for presence. And the man who becomes that presence never has to chase anything again. If this opened your eyes, I want you to write one sentence in the comments. I choose calm strength, not noise, not chasing, not fear. Calm strength. Let me see the men who are ready to move differently, to stop performing, and to start standing in who they truly are. Hit like if this message resonated. It helps this reach more men who need it. Hit subscribe if you want more videos on masculine presence, female psychology, and the real, simple principles that make attraction feel effortless. Because the moment you master your energy, everything else, connexion, désir, intimacy begins to move toward you on its own.